Girls Right Now mentees Amina Castronovo, Jade Lozada, and Jayola Reid will be co-teaching a masterclass on storytelling for climate justice.
Hi, I'm Jade.
Hi, I'm Jayola.
And I'm Amina.
And we are Girls Right Now mentees and climate justice activists.
No matter the workshop or genre and focus at Girls Right Now, I've noticed two themes weaving so many of our stories together: racial justice and immigration. Now we have a third in common: COVID-19. Though these may seem like separate injustices, they're all inextricably linked to one of the world's most urgent issues: the climate crisis. Here's how. It all begins with the indigenous peoples of the Americas. Their land was stolen, renamed, and commodified. To this day, oil drilling companies buy the rights to tribal land to drill for oil whose emissions threaten the water safety of those communities, their biodiversity, and their autonomy. At this moment in the Girls Right Now office in Midtown Manhattan, we're standing on the land of the Munsee Lenape. But it doesn't end there. So often, we talk about how immigrants come here in search of the American dream, the economic opportunity they didn't have. But why is that? It's because the same world-dominating corporations are gouging their native land for food for the so-called first world, paying them virtually nothing for their labor so that they have no choice but to migrate. These are the same corporations that waste years of drinking water on fast fashion and emit tons of carbons in the production and transport of their goods across oceans. And of course, those emissions come back to the developing countries first in the form of droughts, dangerous heat, floods, wildfires, and hurricanes. Then, when immigrants come to America, they're faced with racism and xenophobia. We came of age watching children be separated from their families and caged, watching ICE threaten communities a lot like ours. Whether we knew it or not, we were watching the climate crisis play out before us.
Jade is exactly right. Black Lives Matter is a climate issue too. Mont Haven in the South Bronx is the poorest congressional district in the country. Unfortunately, they have been burdened with another undesirable title, the Asthma Alley. This is due to the fact that asthma rates in the South Bronx are 8 times higher than in the entire country. Most parents would not want to raise their children in a neighborhood subjected to so many inhumane circumstances. But unfortunately, for many families falling beneath the poverty line, there is simply no choice. Now, people in the South Bronx are suffering from disproportionate cases of COVID-19 as well. There are many factors that contribute to the low air quality in the South Bronx. Perhaps one of the biggest ones being heavy diesel-intensive truck companies such as Fresh Direct. Did you know that Black people are 1.5 times more likely to be exposed to air pollutants, and Latinx people 1.2 times more likely than their white counterparts? This issue has not been addressed by the New York City Department of Education because climate justice is not a mandatory part of the curriculum. Shouldn't students know the kind of air that we're breathing in? Now, why has this issue not been resolved? The same reason that the Flint water crisis issue hasn't been resolved: poverty and lack of political power. The Flint water crisis, as well as the air pollutant crisis, is all part of a bigger emergency, the climate emergency. But in order to address the climate change issue, we must acknowledge the unique effects had on impoverished communities of color.
So what can you do? You can lobby with your representative. At Girls Right Now, we learn the power of storytelling, and it can be used to influence policy too. Lobbying is a meeting with an elected official about an issue that you're passionate about, and anyone can schedule a meeting because it's the official's job to hear from you. And lobby meetings are happening via Zoom right now. There are 3 simple steps to lobbying. First, you need to figure out the who, the what, and the when and schedule your meeting. Next, you need to organize, research, and strategize with your team. And finally, you need to hold the meeting. Always remember to take notes and a picture at the end so you can hold them accountable on social media. And never forget to follow up with them via email. During a meeting, there is a storyteller who connects to the representative using emotions and vulnerability. Why is storytelling so essential to activism? It humanizes issues and molds our perspective. What comes to mind when you think of stories that have influenced our society? We can all think of heart-wrenching, impactful moments. How Rosa Parks wouldn't move from her seat. How the Stonewall riots led to the legalization of LGBTQ+ marriage, and how AOC's journey from becoming a bartender to the youngest congresswoman of the United States now motivates women of color to do the same. Stories demand change because they kick issues out into the limelight and provide a gateway for people to tap into the power of vulnerability. If you don't know what your story is, consider how society is consistently asking you to rehumanize yourself. That is your story. It is your most powerful tool as an activist because it is unique to you. Using that tool to influence policymakers is what will make you stand out and empower you. Here are 4 things to keep in mind. First, you need to mobilize your story. Second, you need to explore the vulnerability of your story. Third, you need to know your audience. And last, you need to connect your story to policies and institutionalized systems.
Your story is a living catalyst.
Our organizations are leading campaigns to mandate climate justice education in public schools.
And we provided you with a toolkit to join the movement.
This is not a moment, this is momentum.
The climate crisis needs your story now.